What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Hope all is well with you. Now, guys, if you've been watching my videos long enough, you know that my earliest videos that I used to do something like 6-7 years ago, I would always end it by saying that the ignorant among us have been speaking way too loud for way too long, and there has to be a pushback from those of us who know better. Now, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about because I have this story here about a social media influencer who went rioting, basically looting, and got herself and a bunch of her followers arrested. Criminal records and everything like that. It's terrible. But I want to get into that, guys. But first, I want to familiarize you with the story that I'm talking about here. You might have heard in Philadelphia there was a big uproar, and it's probably still going on, regarding the death of Eddie Irizarry, okay, who was killed by police officer Mark with a K, Dial. All right. And recently, actually a couple of days ago, the charges were dropped from Mark Dial. And of course, what do you think happened? What do you think? What do you think? I don't know. It's hard to say because these things are so unpredictable. Well, people started rioting and started looting in Philadelphia, tearing up stores, taking things. They hit the Apple store, jewelry stores, everything. Of course, this has everything to do with justice, right? In the name of justice, we're going to go out and steal some shit and just wreck people's businesses and things like that, right? So that's basically what happened, okay? But the remarkable thing about this story, and the point that I want to make here, is that, like I said, in the middle of it was this idiotic social media influencer, okay? So let me get into this. I want to read this. This is on NBCPhiladelphia.com. And let's talk about this, guys. It says Philadelphia-based influencer live streamed the looting and was arrested and charged. Influencer, what is it here? Influencer Meatball was charged after being among over 50 people arrested for the shoplifting crime spree in the city. A social media influencer from Philadelphia was arrested Tuesday night during the looting that took place in the city. Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney said Deja Blackwell, known as Meatball, I don't know if any of you know this Meatball person. If you do, if you follow this person, let me know. I don't know this person. But Deja Blackwell, known as Meatball online, was live streaming the whole thing, wound up with over 12,000 followers, and basically incited the riot, the mayor said. She's in jail. Well, she's not in jail anymore, but we'll get into that in a minute. Blackwell was charged Wednesday with criminal conspiracy, criminal mischief, riot, and disorderly conduct, among other charges, according to the police. In the videos she posted to her Instagram stories, she appears to be cheering on the crowd robbing the Apple store in Center City while shouting free iPhones. She can also be seen walking with the crowd as they move to different stores and driving to parts of the city. Dude, and you wonder why people stay making fun of us online. What type of dumb crap is this? Not only are you going to be committing crimes and taking part in joining in the rioting and stuff like that, but you're going to live stream it? I mean, there's no words for the stupidity. But around 8 p.m., police started receiving calls that loud crowds were making their way into Center City, officials said. The crime spree also happened in Port Richmond, Northeast Philadelphia, and West Philadelphia, born and raised. Among the stores that were looted were the Foot Locker and the Apple store near 15th and Chestnut Streets, and Lululemon store in the area. I think that's how you say it, right? Lululemon. Stanford said Tuesday night's looting had nothing to do with the peaceful protest that took place earlier after charges were dismissed against the officer who shot and killed Eddie Irizarry. And that's terrible. All right, but let's see. She may be responsible, and this is the part that I want you guys to pay attention to. She may be responsible for a lot of other people being arrested because she encouraged those folks, and they were quite frankly dumb enough to engage and participate, and there's going to be consequences for that, Stanford said of Blackwell's involvement. She's responsible for a lot of other people being arrested because she encouraged those folks, and they were quite frankly dumb enough to engage and participate, and there are going to be consequences for that. Now, guys, I just talked about this on my last video about how far do you go with wanting to see people like you to the point where you identify with them and you relate to them and you follow them straight off that bridge. Remember how our parents used to say, if all of your friends jumped off the bridge, would you do it too? Well, the answer for too many black people is yes, we will, as long as they're black. They're black. They look like me. So I'm going to do the same dumb shit that they do. That's basically what we have going on here. Okay, so unfortunately, because we don't know how to think like responsible human beings and we relate more to being black and everything that these psychos attribute to that, we find ourselves in predicaments like this. Now, this person, Meatball, and they call it a social media influencer for a reason. She influences people. So she influenced people to the point where they now have criminal records. Meatball did that. But because she's black and she looks like me and she's on code, we're on code because all skin folk is kinfolk. That's how we feel these days. We don't judge by content of character. We judge by what we see. And since we see her and she looks like she's black, then we're going to follow her. But it doesn't take a great leap of imagination to think that sometimes people can be hired influencers. They can be, what they used to call them, instigators, things like that. People who are paid to get things going. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's what she is, but I'm saying as long as we think this way, we're going to be subject to be corrupted by people who don't always have our best interests at heart. Now, later on, this person, Meatball, let's see, there's another link here. This person says, I regret it. All right. So it says here, social media influencer Meatball talks about to NBC 10 about live streaming, looting, and arrest. She's only 21 years old. The social media influencer known as Meatball is back home after she was arrested and accused of instigating some of Tuesday night's looting in Philadelphia. 21-year-old Deja Blackwell was bailed out of jail by her mother early Thursday morning. And she told NBC 10 that she never wants to go back to jail. Well, isn't that convenient? I just prefer, never loot again. Stay out of trouble. Never go to jail. Oh, there's a concept. Now she tells us. She wasn't saying all that before. Before she was saying steal, come down, free iPhones, free tablets, take everything. We're going to do this until we get some justice, she said. But now she's saying never loot again. Stay out of trouble. Never go to jail. Well, see, now you're learning. 21 years old. You're still young. Blackwell is one of dozens of people arrested following Tuesday night's looting. She's garnered the attention in the last 48 hours because of her social media live stream that captured the crime spree. As the chaos unfolded across the city, Blackwell had live streamed much of it up until her arrest to her more than 180,000 followers. 180,000 followers. She's influencing this way. This 21-year-old. I have almost 12,000 subs. All right. And I get much, much less views than even that. You know what I mean? I'm lucky these days if I'm even getting something like 400 views. All right. But I talk a lot of realness. I talk a lot of wisdom because that's what my life has taught me. No one's trying to follow me or be influenced by me. See, this is what I'm talking about because people, they see someone who looks like them, right? They rather relate to somebody who follows that narrative that black people are victims, that they have a reason for this. I saw an article in the newspaper where people were talking about rioting and looting is just an expression of outrage. Like they're trying to excuse it, man. There can be no excuse for responsible adults and responsible adults who have children who are influenced by these people. We all have to step up and do a better job of these things, man. This person had over 180,000 followers talking about come out and steal. And her message got shared. It got heard everywhere. But you don't hear messages from people like me. Why is that? Why is it that you go on Twitter and all you see are black people doing terrible things, but nobody shares videos like this? It never happens. You see how it's a self-fulfilling prophecy and it keeps on going on and on and on. And I don't care how little views I get. I'm going to keep on talking about this until somebody gets it. Police in Philadelphia and the district attorney's office say that Blackwell was encouraging others to engage in the looting and other criminal activity. Of course, this is what I was talking about before. This is where we go wrong. They look like me, so I'm going to feel like them, so I'm going to think like them, and I'm going to go down like them. That's basically what happened. In the videos she posted to her Instagram stories, she appears to be cheering on the crowd robbing the Apple store in Center City while shouting free iPhones. She could also be seen walking with the crowd as they moved to different stores and droves to different parts of the city. All right, so anyway, Blackwell's mother didn't want to speak with reporters and cut the conversation short by honking her car horn repeatedly. And she also says something like free meatball. All right, so she's due back in court October 17th. And this is a tragedy, guys, because she's only 21. But this is what I'm saying. As long as we keep feeding the ignorance and we keep uplifting the ignorance and silencing the common sense, this is what's going to keep on happening. All right, these people who followed her now have criminal records, okay? Is this the desired result? Is this what we want? Is this what we want to relate to? We have to start thinking as responsible, intelligent humans with the brain that God gave us, instead of relating as some backwards ass black people, because that's what's happening. We're setting ourselves up for extermination, because if you haven't noticed, people are making this case every day for why we're just parasites on society, useless eaters. That's what we're doing. So she went in front of over 180,000 at least followers and had this type of influence to do what she's doing. And we don't think that this is a problem. She's only 21. So what does that mean? That means those of us who are older and wiser and more responsible do have a responsibility to speak with common sense, to speak with wisdom, if we have a voice. And we all do, because we have this thing called the internet right now. So we have to be clear about what's right and what's wrong in the eyes of humanity, how not to be a burden to humanity, how not to be a burden to our neighbor, how to contribute to constructiveness in our neighborhoods and in our communities, to raise our children to be responsible, to raise husbands and wives and mothers and fathers who actually grow old and contribute. That's what we want to do. But this rioting and having other people give us permission to do this, they were out there wrecking. Businesses that belong to other black people. You know, how is that something that's good? What's this woman's name? Because I actually saw it on TV this morning. This woman, Claudia Silmias. Claudia Silmias. She's the owner of a hair shop that had just opened. She's a black woman, young black woman. She was so proud of what she was doing. She had just restocked her shelves. Some people like to complain about Koreans in the neighborhood taking all the black money with black hair products. Here was a black woman who had a shop that was destroyed. A black woman who was destroyed by these looters. They're tearing down their own neighborhoods. There's nothing noble about it. And we have to be clear about that. But guys, I've said too much. I want you to get into the comment section. Let me know what you think. What is going to turn this thing around? What is going to give more people the courage to speak common sense and love to our children who need it? What's it going to take before we start relating more to our humanity than we do to somebody's backwards ass view of what blackness is? You know, which is almost always something that is not positive, that is destructive, at least in the eyes of the larger community. Are there black people out here who's doing wonderful things? Of course there are. I consider myself one of them. I come from a family full of them. But if you have cancer in one finger, you don't get to say, oh, it's just one finger. I have 9 more that are great. No, because sickness spreads. Cancer spreads. F cancer. But that's the nature of it. That's what it is. If you have cancer or sickness in one place, you have to address it before it spreads. And this is a social disease. You don't get to say there are many of us doing the right thing when you have a section of us that's doing the wrong thing. They need love too. They need curing too. They need to hear the good word, the common sense. But anyway, guys, I've preached enough. You can get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all of this. As always, I thank you. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the super thanks. I really appreciate you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.